Just want to talk real quick about this crazy long video. I actually had 2 videos recorded. I had one done that I was going to edit soon, and it was me talking about burrs, all kinds of them, lots of info about them, things that a lot of people probably don't know if you just basically have basic dremel bit knowledge or whatever you want to call it. I just thought I would share some of the info I've got and talk about burrs, so I did that for quite a while. And then I ended up making a second video kind of off a request from someone to do a more step-by-step video of how I like to polish agate and stuff. Anyway, I made a video with that, and then I was going to edit the 2 and realized I think I ought to just put them together in one big video so I can be done with it and not keep putting burr video after burr video after burr video on my channel, which is fine, but it gets old after a minute. But if you want a bunch of info about a bunch of burrs and wheels and different types of rotary tool carving bits and bobs and pieces and whatnot and random weird stuff like this, let me just show you a little intro here. Like these weird ones, which are awesome, some of my favorite. Go ahead and watch this. There's hopefully something you can learn in here, and yeah, I will cover a bunch about them, but I'll start with the step-by-step for polishing rocks that I use with a rotary tool. I'm going to do a video where I explain step-by-step how I like to grind and polish rocks with my rotary tool. I actually had a comment from Gemstone6 that said, "I'm so excited and so confused at the same time. Maybe you could make up a chart describing how and when in the process they would be used," they being the different burrs, "and sell that chart for a small amount. I would pay for it." I'm just going to make this video, and hopefully I do a good job. Hopefully I can edit it into something usable as well. But I'm going to start by saying that I have a million different ways that I can go about this. Not literally a million, but I have so many random different, sorry for the noise, different types of burrs and wheels from all the different auctions and things that I've bought through the years of old dental labs and dentists that have closed down. But this video I'm going to try to mainly just focus on actual normal products that you can buy that aren't just a menagerie, because some of these wheels and burrs and stuff I don't even have info on what they are or where they came from, other than I can tell you that it's rubber with silicon carbide in it on that one, you know, and a bunch of these others. There are just so many random ones, and I just grab them sometimes and just try it, and if it doesn't work I try a different one. But I do have a set and a series that I use in general, and a premium set that I like to use the most, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So there's a cheap side to this and an expensive side. And so I will talk about the cheap side first, if that works, as far as the budget side of burrs. Now, the budget side of burrs is anything but diamond, and that means that it's usually aluminum oxide and, more importantly, silicon carbide. Silicon carbide comes in different forms. You can buy it in, let me get some of these out, random shaped burrs and wheels. Like here's some. There's, you know, all different shapes and sizes. There's cones, there's all kinds of things. There's wheels, there's other wheels, there's even more wheels. Okay, this is a fine silicon carbide wheel, which I do not have much of. I actually got this in an auction. I'd like to buy a few more, but I haven't found them yet where I wanted to spend the money they wanted for them, if that makes sense. Oops, this is the wrong one. So, like I said, silicon carbide is the cheaper version of a grinding stone. And we'll talk about stone first. Like I said, I'll try to be as organized as I can, but there's just a lot to cover. There's all kinds of silicon carbide burrs and wheels out there. For example, here's a bunch of different, let me focus down here, a bunch of different shapes of them. You can see all these. There's one that's rounded on the end and all that. So the only thing I can suggest would be to avoid the ones that come in these kits. Okay, they're garbage. The silicon carbide are, the green from those. There are good quality ones. Here's some of my favorite right here. Dedico Coolies. That's this guy. There's 50 of them in there. You can usually get this for around, I think, $40. I can't remember. I got these on a deal, but not that it matters. This is a very well made silicon carbide wheel. They're very big. Here's one worn down that I've been using for quite a while, and they're the budget version because you can get these for around $1 a piece or less, usually less. Like this is probably 30 cents a piece for these or less, depending on where you buy them from. They're the first step. So when I say the first step, I'm going to carve this in a minute and I'll show you. This is a piece of Brazilian agate. Let's see if I have some water. And where's my flashlight? So it's anyway, it's a nice piece of Brazilian agate, fairly thick. So I figured it'd be good to show you what I'm talking about on these. But I'm going to go through it and then I'll demonstrate it. I was thinking about carving this, but I won't. That's just a big chunk of chalcedony or agate, whatever you want to call it. First step is going to be grinding and shaping. And that's what you do with a coarse, hard wheel. This is just stone. This is just silicon carbide. There's no rubber or anything in it. That's always my first step. The expensive version of that first step is right here. These are stone as well, and they are diamond impregnated stone. So there's diamond grit in these. This one is coarse, this one is medium, I believe, or maybe even fine. I can't remember, it's been a while. These are about, I found a place where I can buy them on eBay from AZ Dent for about $15 a piece. And there's a lot of times where I have to grind a bunch of gnarly stuff off a rock like this, and I don't want to just wear my diamonds down because they cost more. I'd rather use up a wheel like this that cost me 30 cents than one that costs $15. There are companies that make these that cost up to $70. It just depends on where you buy them, but these AZ Dent ones are plenty good. So that's my first step, is shaping and grinding with a hard stone coarse grit like these. You know, fairly coarse grit. This one's fine, but it still cuts fast. Diamond is obviously much nicer to use. It cuts faster and usually a little smoother. Some of these good quality silicon carbide wheels and grinding stones actually cut pretty smooth and good, but they just don't cut as fast as diamond. So here's, like I said, Dedico brand. Here's one I got for cheap off Amazon. It's a, I don't know what they'd be called now because their name changes all the time, but it was June Lixon at the time. But either way, it was, I would say 55 pieces Rotary Dremel polishing kit. But these are aluminum oxide wheels, and this is silicon carbide. And these are pretty good quality. The hole's kind of big, so they're a little bit sloppy on the mandrels. You have to put them on your own mandrel, but this came with 10 mandrels, I believe. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, so that's the first stage. And there, like I said, there's different companies that make them, different qualities of them. These are best qual. This whole box was $15, so these are 15 cents a piece because there was 100 of them. They're pretty good quality. They're definitely nowhere near the quality of a Dedico, but they're a lot cheaper, you know, to burn through. There are Jelenko that are, you know, along this line. They make very good quality ones, but usually you buy them like this. You buy them already on the mandrel. They're not removable. You just use them up, throw it away. But these will last quite a while, and they're pretty fine grit. They're not super coarse, but they cut really nice. They are also silicon carbide. You can find these usually on eBay. I have others that I don't even know where to tell you to get them because I got them in an auction like these. I really like these. These Fast Cut 2, they're a silicon carbide wheel. They're smaller if you need to get in tighter spaces. Anyway, they're good. And then you can get into the really, really fine. I ordered these from China. There's no brand name. They are called a interproximal separating wheel, or in Dental Labs, I have one on them here. This is how thin they are. Let me show that. Paper thin. They're brittle. They'll snap. They're like those cutting discs that you buy that are just made of whatever. But these are hard pressed rubber, even though it's not flexible. They say they're rubber bonded, but it's silicon carbide, and they'll cut stone. You just have to go slow and careful and delicate with them. I don't know if it'll show in here. Let me zoom in and focus. The kind of stuff you can do with this. I need to figure out why my lighting looks so bad tonight. I haven't changed anything. You can see all those fine grooves I've cut, and where's the focus? The slots I've cut in the stone. Let's get some white behind it and you can see it. Anyway, I was just messing around with it, trying them out. I really like them. Oh, that chipped away. I was goofing around with it. There's a cut through that. There you go. I just want to add to this real quick. Duragreen by Shofu are also extremely good quality silicon carbide wheels. And if you hunt around, you can usually find them. There's 12 of them in a box. I've used a few of them, obviously. You can usually find them for around $12 or $13 for a box of 12. And they're very good quality. They're as good quality as these Dedico. So get you some good quality ones if you're looking for a cheaper stone for your first step. So that's first step, is using something like a silicon carbide or a diamond impregnated stone to grind and shape the rock. And I'll show that here. I'll edit that in. Second step, budget version, I almost always, where's my focus? Go to aluminum oxide. Okay, and this is a fine aluminum oxide wheel. Also, a Dedico Coolie, aluminum oxide. The ones I talked about before were silicon carbide, but these are fine, and they will remove all of the scratches that you make with these big, or coarse grit wheels for the first step. So after I've contoured it and shaped it the way I want it, and get it really close to the way I want it, if not all the way there, I will use my second step is almost always, like I said, aluminum oxide. And like I said, there's all kinds of versions of them. This is the probably more expensive, but even then, these are still less than $1 a piece. Where's my focus? You can see them all in there. These are good sized wheels too. They're big. They're big diameter. Anyway, that's aluminum oxide, and it comes in all shapes and sizes. I really like these wheels. Even the cheaper ones of aluminum oxide always seem to hold together really well. I mean, these are coarse aluminum oxide, or medium I should say, and these are fine. I usually don't even touch the medium. I just use the fine. I'll show you some of my favorite aluminum oxide. You can buy them in boxes of 100 as well, in different shapes. I love the cones with them because then I can get down in the little details and sand them. I have some of these that are premium. I'll show you those real quick if I can get my tweezers out. Alright. Move that guy so I don't break it. Aluminum oxide can come in very fine if you know where to get it. And these are made by Comet or Brasseler, whatever, but they're really expensive. That aluminum oxide is so fine, it actually feels like it's just solid stone. It doesn't feel like it's compressed grit together. And I love those for getting into little detailed places. But that's my second step to smooth out all the rough scratches from the stone that I used to contour with. And from there, and the second step in the expensive, by the way, I usually don't use the expensive, would be a coarse or medium diamond wheel. So here's a coarse, and here's a medium. I usually don't use the coarse hardly ever because they wear down kind of quick and they cost a lot of money. Like I said, you can get them from AZ Dent for like $14 a piece, or actually these are like $8 or $9, $10 a piece, about this size. And this is usually the style I buy from AZ Dent, around $14 a piece. This one's fine, this one's extra fine, and that's pretty much all you would need for your polishing steps. Because after your second step, and I'll show that, going over it with aluminum oxide, I prefer to use aluminum oxide because it's cheap, it does the same job, gets rid of all the really rough scratches and gets the surface pretty well, fairly smooth and ready to go. I usually grab either one of these if I'm in a hurry because they do a quick job, the medium diamond impregnated, or I grab a rubber wheel, which if there's anything I want to add in the middle of this video that I think is very, very important for anybody wanting to polish rocks with a rotary tool, it is to get rubber wheels. These aren't wheels right here, but they work the same way. They're clasp polishers. They go on a screw mandrel. I've talked about that in another part of the video. But rubber wheels are the most versatile, useful tool. You get the kind of just standard or hard. Don't get the soft, squishy ones. You won't like it. Rubber wheels of all different grits, shapes, ethnicities, etc. Get them all. Anytime you can get your hand on any silicon carbide impregnated rubber wheels, do so. Look at these little guys. Hold on. Oh, some of this isn't even on camera. I'm so zoomed in. Look at these. Look at what I did. This is just some of it. There's all kinds. Look at these guys in here. There's even the white ones that have the really coarse grit and they cover you in sand. They work really good for a lot of stuff. Get them all. Get a lot. These ones are for metal, and they don't even polish rock very well, but they make metal look like a mirror. I mean, there's all kinds. That's a whole other video subject in itself, but I have a video that will be coming out at some point fairly soon where I just ramble about burrs and wheels and video and things a lot more than even this one. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. If you like it, let me know. Give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it. I got a toothpick stuck. KFC, ADD. Anyway, I've got a lot of rubber wheels, and I'll be honest with you, I'm probably slowly going to get a lot more. These are rubber. Some of my favorite are. Oh no, I lost them. Where'd I put them? I just have too much going. Oh, over here. These guys. Look at them. Oh, look how beautiful. Oh. Anyway, get you some rubber wheels, okay? And polishers, whatever. Just get a pile and use them. You'll learn from them. You'll love them. They're the most versatile, useful thing when it comes to polishing rocks and metal that there is. This is one of my favorites. This is just Dedico high glaze for polishing non-precious, semi-precious chrome cobalt alloys. So this is made from metal, but it is, oh, these are the knife edge, silicon carbide, again, in these for the grit, and they're rubber wheel. I like the blue for my third step, if you want to call it, or green even. These green standard do a really good job too. There's some that aren't knife edge. So they're my third step. I have several different third steps depending on if I'm in a hurry, if I want to use the expensive, medium, diamond grit, rubber, diamond grit impregnated rubber, for my third step, or if I want to go more budget, which I usually do, I like these blue ones and the green ones from Dedico. I'll try to find my box of them real quick just to show you. Well, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Classic rubber wheels. Blue is high glaze, green is standard. And generally I run it over with a green and then just go right to my polish. My fine and extra fine polish with these guys is what I usually use. So like I said, first step, just to review, diamond, stone, or silicon carbide. Second step is almost always aluminum oxide fine, just because it's cheap and I don't have to wear down my coarse grit diamond impregnated wheels. And then the next step after that, which would be what, third step, would be probably these green Dedico wheels. But if you don't buy Dedico wheels, just get on Amazon or eBay and buy a pack that's like a 40 pack for $10 or whatever of rubber wheels that are just, there's coarse all the way to fine grit. So there's a coarse, either medium, well actually there's extra coarse, sorry, trying to remember how they word these. Extra coarse, coarse, medium, and fine. And you can use those too. They work great. You don't have to buy Dedico. Dedico are a little better, honestly. I use all of these a lot. I use these cheap ones all the time. $10 for 40 of these. If you buy these brand new, you're going to pay like $50 for a box of 100. That's about 50 cents a piece. If you watch, you can find deals on them. So that would be my third step, is going over it with one of these wheels. And then if I feel like it, maybe a fourth step where I go over it with a little bit finer wheel. But in general, I can just use one of those wheels. And then my final step for actual getting a polish, and like I said, I'll demonstrate all this in a minute, is I either use, where did I set them? They're all over here. There's a medium, fine. So this is a fine diamond grit, diamond impregnated silicone rubber wheel. That's my favorite to use. They're just faster, more efficient because they're diamond and they work better. And if the better the company you get them from, they're more expensive. Usually the better they work. But these AZ Dent do work great, and they come in different shapes. You don't have to get these knife edge. But I usually have a fine and an extra fine. This is just a medium and a fine, but they are high enough quality. They work really well. These are from Brasler, or Comet, sorry. So Comet, K-O-M-E-T. Very expensive. But I just use these for my final polish. The budget side of that would be over here. These Shofu brand. See the Shofu Ceramiste, and we have Ultra and Ultra 2. Now they're kind of funny because you can use the Ultra and start to see a difference. It'll start to polish it. You can use this all day long and not see a polish unless you've gone over it with this and polished it, and then when you use this you'll see that it gets a little brighter polish. Like, this is such a fine silicon carbide grit in this wheel that you could use it all day long and be like, man, I don't think it's doing anything, but then you look at where you haven't used it and you can see a difference. It's just super fine. So once something's polished, you go over it with this and it gets even shinier. For example, I'm showing this early, but here's a stone I was going over with them just for fun, and I did that with these two mostly. This Ultra, and that's just a piece of agate. But anyway, this is the budget version of the last step, and these cost about $1 a piece, but you can use them and use them and use them. I've been using these for months on different projects, and they're still basically full-sized. Still, they don't wear down very fast. If you're wearing them down fast, you're running them too hot and pressing too hard. But you can see there they are in the package. Like I said, they're about $1 a piece, so they're a lot cheaper than even these cheap diamond impregnated ones that are $14 a piece. These ones are like, I don't even know. I've never bought them full price, $40 to $60 a piece. I bought these from a dental student that dropped out of dental school, and I bought their kit from them. So I'm going to demonstrate all this now, and I will talk about it as I demonstrate it. Oh, I will say this. There is one other aspect that I really like if I'm doing contoured carvings like I'm going to do on this, and that is all of these Dedico wheels. You can also buy them as clasp polishers. So you got your coarse, or extra coarse, coarse, medium, and fine on these. Anyway, you can shape them however you want against the stone and get into whatever shape you need to for polishing down in small spots and stuff. Okay, I'm going to put on my glasses and turn on the vacuum, and I'm going to demonstrate step 1, which is the silicon carbide wheel. That's one that's worn down a little, so I'm going to start with it. Let me start a groove. I can show you. They don't cut as fast as diamond, but you can see you can still, with a good quality silicon carbide wheel, you can still get quite a bit done pretty fast. And you can tell it's good quality because it's not wearing away really quick while I do this. So I'm switching this coarse diamond impregnated stone to show you the difference. You see that groove I made right there? That. I'll go right in the same spot. Now you can see the scratches on this more, but I want you to see how much faster I can grind away stone with it. Like, to say 10 times faster isn't an over-exaggeration. I'm going to switch to the fine diamond impregnated. Now it cuts fast too, but it just is a little smoother. So you can see I'm getting dust. You can kind of see the difference on the scratches there versus not there. So I'll go like this. Okay, so this is step 1, like I said. I'm just going to try to make it smooth and pretty. Okay, so there's step 1, using stone. Silicon carbide, diamond impregnated. Now, step 2, aluminum oxide. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and show you why I use this as my step 2. Aluminum oxide. So you can see the difference there. It's removing the rough scratches from the step 1, and it's already looking kind of shiny. It's not polished, but you can see the difference. I'm going to go ahead and contour this. Or not contour, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and go over the contour of this with this. I will say this, I wouldn't want to try to just carve with aluminum oxide. You'll be there a long time. Unless it's a softer stone like, you know, your Picasso marble or something like that. But as far as agate goes, you're not going to be able to remove a lot with it. You're just kind of actually smoothing it. You can kind of refine your contour a little bit with it, but like I said, if you have to remove a lot of material, you definitely want to go back to step 1, which is, you know, the silicon carbide or these diamond impregnated stones. The other option, which obviously I'm not really covering on here, is diamond grit. I'll just show them real quick. Well, I mean, everybody understands. You can always use diamond to carve agate when they're the metal diamond bits like this. And I'll show you my method I like to use. That's pretty dirty. Let me grab a paper towel. Clean out my ashtray. It's full of rock dust, rock slurry. So if you've used these cheap diamond burrs, you'll know they burn up quick. But if you want them to last, I'm going to just come along up here at the top. Just put some water on it like that. Keep it wet. If you see your diamonds start to get dry and powdery, you know, the rock powder on it start to get powdery instead of being a slurry, you just add another drop. You can already see that slurry building up. Turn it this way. And it's getting a little dry, so add another drop. This way I don't have to flip water everywhere, and I'm able to just work on my detail work. Rinse that off. I'll show you. Okay, so you see, let me get a white background. You see that groove I already carved in it going across there? Hopefully it's focused for you. You can still come along with your silicone or your aluminum oxide. Let me grab one of these to show you. That's why I like these small ones. Because I can still, even if that's small of a groove, now I've got something I can get in there with. Still my second step is aluminum oxide. And then grind that smooth, get rid of all the scratches, and get it ready to polish. Anyway, get the idea. So that's still my second step. I just use a different shaped one. And they're not expensive. So let's get back to this. I can even take this small guy and go over it, but for the sake of time, we'll switch back to the big wheel. Actually, I left a little bit of a groove there. Let me remove that. Anyway. Oops, I lost my sleeve. for the sake of time, call that good. So you can really go over it, work it over, make sure you got all of your rough scratches out. If I'm not on a time delay, I get really picky. Fire there is bugging me, but okay, we'll call that good. Now, so that was the second step, you know, the aluminum oxide. Third step, like I said, there's a variety of things I use, but one of the ones I like the most is just these good quality silicon carbide rubber wheels. You can screw up your surface if you push too hard. You want to go slow and careful to keep it smooth. See how nice that looks already? So this is the blue. It's not even the standard grit. This is the fine grit, but it's already good enough. Like I said, you can skip steps sometimes just depending on how nice your second step is. Depends on whether you need to even do a third step. You can just go right to the fourth. Depends on your material too. Nice agate, cuts and polishes really nice. Good to demonstrate on. So just go slow and careful. You don't want to spin too fast with agate or you start to get a dimpled surface because you have a softer wheel. This is rubber wheel. I do like the harder rubber wheels. They come in different hardnesses. I probably should show that. So I actually don't know where my, like these guys are soft silicone polishers for porcelain. They are actually a pretty soft wheel, and I use these ones primarily for when I'm working with really hard woods like this mountain mahogany. Tried to break out everything I own. These will polish it really nice, but that's beside the point. But these are, you can see, really soft rubber, whereas like this isn't flexible hardly. It's very hard rubber. I like the hard rubber for rock a lot better. It just works a lot better because it'll maintain a hard surface. If it's soft, it'll eat into the softer parts of the rock. I'm kind of getting that here, kind of getting a orange peel surface, whereas this one cut smooth. Sometimes you have to re-prep the surface of your wheel, and that's something people don't do enough. Run it against one of these stones. Run it against a piece of sandstone, sandpaper, or something. I even use a diamond file that you use for your fingernails sometimes. Anyway, prep the surface of it again and go over it one more time. Don't spin it too fast. Now I'm going to show the budget. Fifth step, I guess you call it, first. So I'm going to grab these Shofu Ceramiste. I'm just going to grab the Ultra and show you that one on one side. Anyway. Let's do it on this half. Surface of this probably needs to be redone too. It's a little glazed over. But okay. Like I said, these take a lot longer, but they are a lot cheaper. see that shine? Oh, there up in the focus. See that shine it's putting on it? I'll go over that thoroughly for a while with this, if I were going to do it all with this, and then go over it with this, wherever I set it. I got burrs laying everywhere. The Ultra 2 at the end, and that'll be it. Now I'll show you the, you know, these guys, I guess. Let's jump to the extra fine version of the diamond impregnated from AZ Dent. I'll just do that right here in the middle. Let me go there. See that spot really shiny right there? Up in the, sorry, upward focus. Okay, and then I'll show you the premium. These are the really nice, expensive, fine grit, diamond impregnated. There, you see the shine that's putting on it there. So I can go over this whole thing. I'll just show you something real quick. I'll demonstrate. If you just have the expensive ones, this is just the medium. I'm not even using the coarse. Well, I might want to show you the coarse because you probably want to see it. We do have a coarse wheel. Do I have one up here? Oh, I already had one up here. Okay. All right. I'm going to go over a spot with the coarse wheel real quick. Switch directions. Medium. I probably actually usually go over a little bit more, but I'm just showing you quick. And then refine. Make sure you clear your grit off there. Just show how fast you can take a fairly nice surface and put a polish on it. Anyway. You can see how shiny that got. And I did a little ripply because I did it fast. You see how fast you can polish these. So that's the steps I use when I'm going through and polishing. If you want a perfect mirror shine, you have to take a little longer, you know, not have any ripples on your surface from your wheel going back and forth. You have to be real slow and careful and go different directions. But for carving, in general, and contouring and doing round things, you know, curves and notches and grooves, you get the idea. And polish with these. Oh, I have a friend. Go away. You got a spider. Oh, he jumped?
Yeah.
Now he's on the floor. Put her down there. Focus. Oh, he's running away. Anyway, I'll probably edit that out. So I hope that clears up a little bit. Let me turn off the vacuum, talk about these one more time. And then if you want to stay for the rest of the video, I will do a few more demonstrations on different ways I like to carve different shapes into rocks and things. I'll do that on this just to show you this, or another piece of rock. We'll see. Probably another piece of rock, because I'm going to actually make this into a pendant at some point. But where's my focus? Here, let's just get up here and quit messing around with the focus. So you can see where I was showing you the polishing. All right, first step. Stone wheels, either silicon carbide or diamond grit. Diamond impregnated. Okay, diamond impregnated, silicon carbide. And like I said, silicon carbide comes in all different shapes and things. Just make sure you get a better quality one. Even then, they're not that expensive. I wouldn't recommend buying the ones from the hardware store where you get a couple of them in a pack for $15, because you can get online and buy a box like this for like 30 bucks, 40 bucks, whatever, and get 50 of them. So then you're only paying however many cents a piece, depending on what you pay for them. Even these, I think I paid like $12 for the full pack of 20 of them or whatever was in there. How many was in it? I don't even remember. 12 of them. Yeah, 12. I can count. I promise. Just a little tired. Second step. I almost always, and you can use, I should say this and clear it up. Second step, you have a couple options, but the one I just always go to is aluminum oxide. But second step is very easily done if you're good and smooth and careful about it with a, you know, any one of these wheels, like a silicon carbide impregnated rubber wheel. Especially these coarse ones, they'll almost remove stuff as fast as some of these. But in general, you can use like a coarse or medium wheel to do the same thing that these do. I just like how smooth and well these do it. I don't end up actually spinning ripples into what I'm carving, if that makes sense. So your second step, first step, second step, I should throw in some of the random different shapes of them, but anyway. Third step is almost always for me just a rubber wheel. That's either a medium or fine grit. If they're good quality, there's a medium grit, there's a fine grit. You know, they're the Dedico ones I talked about. And the next step, depending on how smooth that is usually just jumping to one of these guys to polish, or one of these guys to polish. If it's still not quite smooth enough for one of these two, then go back to your wheel, your medium or fine grit wheel, probably fine grit wheel. I hope that clears it up a little bit on the step by step, because like I said, there's a lot of options. I didn't really cover this too much, but I have a silicon carbide wheel here that's a fine grit. That'll still cut material fairly quick, but it cuts it almost as smooth as these aluminum ones. Will you run up and tell the dog to stop barking at people in the middle of the night? Here, take a flashlight, or there's one on the table. Thanks, bud. Please, hurry.
I'm trying.
Anyway, this, I should be doing this with a vacuum. This cuts pretty smooth. I don't know if you can see that. It won't remove material as fast as the coarse grit. But there's just a lot of different options, but that's what I like to use, is what I've shown you here, and I use a variety of it. Now, one thing I didn't show was like this little fine groove here, polishing in it. You obviously don't want to spin your nice, really expensive, where is it at? Fine diamond impregnated wheel into a groove like that and mess up the edge you've got here on it. That's where you can come in and use these guys. I'll turn the vacuum back on and show that real quick. I'm just going to demonstrate a couple things for you, and I'll probably use this guy since it's my practice piece. Thanks, bud. Okay, let's turn the vacuum back on, and I'll demonstrate a couple things. Well, let's use the medium, or not medium. I can't see my, there it is. Okay, so here's the fine grit. Let me show you. Where's my focus? I should focus. I'll focus. Fine grit, diamond impregnated from AZ Dent. Lay that right out. See how smooth that cuts and how nice? Not quite a polish, but it's almost there. Now let's go back to this groove. I can go in and clean up that groove carefully so it's still smooth. You can spin this wheel a little too fast and it'll actually cut into the stone a little. You don't want to do that. You don't want to use any of your expensive burrs at high speeds, I can tell you that. You stay to the recommended speed or slower and let them do their work as fast as they'll cut. A lot of people tend to push hard to try to cut faster, but you're just going to spin your wheel away quicker. They'll only cut as fast as they cut, so might as well not waste them. Okay, now let's grab this. There. Loud noises. I'm gonna just get a toothbrush out instead of me trying to be an air compressor. You see the polish I put in that groove? I'll show you the. There's the groove. Just that quick with the diamond. Now, let me show you some other things I really like. There's all kinds of neat things out there now. This is one of them. Oh, the diamond impregnated silicone stuff comes in different shapes too. These are diamond impregnated silicone. That's a coarse and a fine, or no, medium and fine. Here's a coarse. Yeah, let me get this stuff out. So these are the same thing as a silicone carbide impregnated rubber wheel, except they're a little rod. And you have this, you can unscrew. Well, generally loosens up. There. Slide that in and out as far as you need to. Shape the end of it against a stone. By stone, I hope you know what I mean. These chunks of carborundum or silicon carbide that you can spin and shape them against. And you can use them to get down to little tiny grooves and stuff too to do most of your work. Polishing, you can get them in as fine a grit as you want. You can come from extra coarse all the way to really fine. Oops, I'm losing them here. Don't want to lose those. Anyway, you can get really fine grit and spend your time with them. And I do believe that Dedico even makes them in diamond grit. They're just going to cost a lot. I would really like to get some, but you know, what I have works. So unless Dedico decides to send me some, probably not going to have any of those for a while. But they do, I'm pretty sure, have them in diamond grit, which would be amazing. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Let's see, how do we want to cut our groove in this? Let's grab a diamond, metal diamond wheel. And I'm going to come to this guy. And we'll cut a groove. A little bit of a curve to it just because now I'll show you glossy. Now this is fine grit. I'll say it in a sec when I get it on there. Okay, so this is fine grit. Like I said, it's a flexible rubber wheel from Dedico. Now, I just cut that with just a diamond wheel, metal diamond wheel. That's already almost polished. See that? I'm doing kind of a rough job with it. If I were doing something tedious like an actual piece of art that I'm carving, I would have taken my time to do it a lot smoother. But I'm just showing you how fast that actually got that pretty smooth. I mean, it's already looking shiny. Where's my... You can come in, like I said, with these if you wanted, if you have them instead. I'll work them down in there too for polishing. Anyway, I really like these. They're interproximal wheels from Dedico. And I just bought the fine, and they do a lot of work really fast because they're kind of a bigger wheel when they start and you get a lot of surface on them. I like bigger wheels because you get a lot more out of them. But yeah, if you want to really polish it, really high shine it, just get the grit out of there. You don't mess up your fine grit wheel. There you go. High shine. All the way down in there. I'm going to jump back to this agate and just show you what the expensive ones can do. Oh, I didn't show this, I guess. I'll just show you on the surface here. This is just a Dedico fine grit blue wheel, knife edge. See, it's already getting shiny. They're really good too. Quick, what these can do, where's my pink one? So we got coarse, medium, fine. I'm going to grab this diamond wheel and we're going to, where do I want to do it on this? I'll come over to this side right here. Spin a nice groove in it like that. I don't know if you can see. Grab the coarse. Get rid of the grit, just because. Get rid of the grit. There's the medium. Let's get rid of the grit. little better. There's the fine. This is a very quick job. I definitely normally take more time, but I just wanted to show you, if you're wanting to get into this professionally and you're going to sit there and do it all day, buying the diamond is worth the investment. With those 3 and a coarse stone, so those 4, I just went from diamond impregnated wheel, and for the sake of time I used the coarse grit, medium grit, and the fine grit. And remember, this is agate. That's a high shine on it, that quick, in a groove. Now, even with a cab machine, you're not going to be polishing agate that fast. And granted, I did that quick. It's probably not you can see the reflection. It's not bad, right there. But I just want to show you how fast you can polish agate that you've carved. So I hope this is helpful. I could demonstrate a whole bunch of other burrs I've got that I really like. I've done that in other videos. If you guys actually like seeing that stuff on my channel, let me know, because in general I'm going to just stick to my crafting as far as just making jewelry and figurines, and I'm going to be making some toys in the future, and fantasy weapons, battle axes, etc., you know, that kind of thing, and also waxing jewelry. That's something I do. I need to show that, where I actually build jewelry out of wax and then cast it. So I'll be doing a lot of that stuff. But as far as a step-by-step on polishing rock, I hope that was helpful and a little more clear. I'm going to try to edit it to make it a little more clear, but there's just so many burrs and so much to cover that it's really easy to you know, go off on a tangent about each burr and what I use it for. Excuse me. So having said that, I'll demonstrate one more burr, because you got to see it. These separating discs is what they're called. They're like $20 for 100 of them. They're really fine. There's 90 of them right there, because I've already given 10 of them to someone else. They are ultra thin, and they're fragile. They're like those metal cutting discs you buy that are really thin, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to demonstrate that real quick on this piece of agate. It's a weird piece of agate, I know, but anyway. I just want to show you what this can do. I'll just use this as my white background, but okay. I hope that shows how fast that can cut. And that is just a silicon carbide separating disc. No diamond involved. I'm trying to think how to show this. Where'd that be? This might work to show you. I can also just go along, if I'm very careful about it, and I can contour and cut and carve surface stuff too. Like I said, this is delicate work, but if you need something really thin to get in and do delicate work, these things are awesome. Anyway, I ground that knob right off that. I'm trying to think how to show this the best. anyway, you can see that against the white background. I don't know if it'll show. Ground and grooving that. You can do all kinds of stuff. I was cutting grid lines in with it and polish the tip of them. And really handy, especially like I said, if you're trying to do really fine work. Let me cut a notch. Well, I already cut a piece there, so I'll just show you. Oh man, thought I broke the disc, but I didn't. I jumped. You get the idea. You can do a lot with these. And they're just on eBay, and it was just a silicon carbide separating disc, if you want to look that up. One of my favorite discs I own, or favorite wheels, I should say. Just awesome. And they break easy. They really do. You got to be steady. But man, you want to do delicate detail work, because I generally use, let me put them all. I generally use these guys, which I buy on eBay as well. I paid $19 for 30 of them, but I like these better. These don't leave metal on stuff, and they just do a dang good job. They don't go dull. If you can not break it, it'll stay just as sharp until it's worn off and gone, like until there's no wheel left. They don't get dull like the metal ones. So yeah, that's my polishing advice. If you're going to be doing it all day long, get the expensive stuff. Eventually, if you're doing it for a living. If you're going to be selling stuff, it pays for itself, because you can get a lot done a lot quicker, as you can see. But yeah, there you go. Let's talk about some burrs. Oh, it's got my name on it. Oh, my knives. Okay, so I quit breaking things. We're taking a sick day, kind of a sick week, aren't we, bud? So my son has the plague, or whatever's going around the schools right now. So if you hear him coughing and hacking and dying, that's why. And so we're all just hanging out together at home this week, and we're down in the workshop. My wife's behind me working out, so if you hear weird noises, it's just her dying with physical fitness, and I've got my son dying to the side of me with the plague, and I'm just dying because I'm fat, old, and tired. But I've wanted to do a more in-depth video about burrs, but I have a big problem, and it's called ADHD. I have a lot on my mind, and I get easily distracted, and I end up all over the place. So I'm going to try to organize chaos a little bit and talk in depth about a lot of different types of burrs, because to be honest with you, most people, when they go buy their dremel tool or whatever rotary tool you have, go to Walmart or Home Depot or Ace Hardware, wherever you go, whatever, I don't know if Maynard's, Menards, whatever you want to call it, sells them, but just different places that sell burrs, you end up usually buying something that looks like this. It says Dremel on it, or some other brand, or something along these lines. You know, these kind of kits that I just did a video on from Walmart or wherever else. And you get your kind of generic basic burrs and bits, and most people don't really get too far outside of that as far as what they use and what their knowledge is of these burrs and bits and wheels. And I want to talk more in depth about that. I'm going to briefly cover what this feller is. It is a rotary tool. Here it's spinning. I'm going to turn this up to 50,000 RPMs, which is very high. Listen how quiet this is. Kind of sounds like a dental office. Now these come in all different price ranges and qualities and different power. And by that I mean you can buy, this is a brushless micromotor, and this happens to be a top of the line one. See this cord coming out of it? big difference in these hand pieces when you start bumping up to these guys that have this kind of cord and very complicated control boxes, which is over there, which I won't show right now, for different reasons. But this unit was $1,000 when I bought it years ago. I saved and saved and saved and got it. Before that, I was always using, I don't know where my Dremel ran off to, but I was using Dremel tools, which I still like, don't get me wrong. But this thing has more torque and more power than any Dremel tool currently made. But there are people that buy hand pieces like this, and they'll pay anywhere from $60 to $120 for their strong drill or whatever on eBay. And they're like, oh, it's just for delicate work, it doesn't do much. And yeah, those ones don't. But when you get a more serious one like this, the horsepower on this thing, and I know it's not horsepower, but the torque alone on this, I don't know how to properly demonstrate it in just this short little clip I'm putting in this video. Let's just say I have used this for years and years and years and done some very big projects, including a giant battle axe with it, and I put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on this, haven't had to rebuild it yet. Like anything else, it will eventually wear out, but brushless lasts a lot longer. But this thing, I don't have a chunk of oak here I'd show you. It does not slow down. The motor, if you'll hear the motor, smoky. The motor keeps going no matter what you throw at it without going like a Dremel tool. And I keep seeing these guys on different channels are like, yeah, I can't use these for my hard work, I have to jump to the Dremel tool, it's a lot stronger. I burn through like 2 or 3 Dremels a year. Like, yeah, okay. Dremel tools do not have the torque this does, even the big ones. And like I said, this is a very serious one. But you could hear the burr changing pitch, but if you listen to the motor on that, if you back it up and listen to it, the motor didn't bog down at all. It'll just keep going no matter what you're doing with it, and it is very strong. I can throw a big typhoon burr on this and grind away wood like nobody's business, whereas my Dremel would get hot and I'd have to give it a break. And this, they're supposed to run these like 90 minutes at a time and then give them a break or whatever, but they, you know, like any other equipment, you don't want to overwork it. But I've never had a problem with this in the 15 plus years I've owned it, and I have used it hard. That aside, I want to talk about versatility. So everybody uses, you know, let's just say Dremel tools. But there are different brands out there now. Let me find some different shank sizes here so I can show you the difference and what can be done here. Have you ever ordered burrs thinking you're getting a killer deal on some? Like, wow, I got them for like $1 for 5 of them, and they show up. Let me dump these out here. I'm making a mess. And this is what shows up in the mail when you were expecting something like this size, right? I'm sure. Let me change my focus here. I'm sure there are other people that have done that. They've just gotten on eBay or somewhere else and ordered some burrs and not realized that the FG means friction grip, and that's this guy, little tiny. Or you can jump up to, I got tons and tons and tons of burrs here. Where's my tweezers? That's why I grabbed my tweezers. Let's just grab some of these out. Here's the next size up. Okay, this is called a latch key. This is a friction grip. This is HP. And then you have your 1/8. Let me get my cheat card as I drop it. Okay, 1.6 millimeters is this small guy. That's the diameter of the shaft on this little guy. Friction grip. Whoop, we're dropping them. They're everywhere. Okay, so here's it's hard to wrangle these. Anyway, 1.6 millimeter is friction grip. These latch key burrs are 2.35. I was probably off camera. Friction grip, latch key. I don't know if you can see the difference in those. Latch key is 2.35 millimeter, which is also what this guy is. This is the skinny version of a Dremel bit if you buy the Dremel bits. Okay, it's 3/32 of an inch or 2.35 millimeters. And then you jump up to the 3.175 millimeters or 1/8 inch shafts, which are what a lot of Dremel bits are. Dremel bits and burrs. Okay, so there's the 1/8 inch, 3/32, 3/32, and then these guys 1.6 millimeter. Now I'll show you if I can reach it. Shoot, where'd I put it? Oh, it's clear over in the corner. What these guys are used in. These guys are used in high-speed handpieces that run on air, and they use an actual turbine, a little turbine that the wind spins as it blows through it. So these require compressed air to run these. But what's really neat about them, I'm going to get up here and focus a lot closer. Look at the little itty bitty point on that compared to the thickness of my fingernail. Okay, you can get them in all different sizes of tips for doing a little fine detail work, and that's why I love them. Oops. These two, they come in small tip. Whoa, where are we at? Small tips and things on them, depending on which ones you buy. And you can even buy this size of burr with itty bitty points and tips, anywhere from, you know, a little tiny. I can get them even smaller than, where are we at? Even smaller than this and way bigger than this on these 3/32 shafts. But there's a whole big variety of these FG burrs, friction grip burrs, that come in little tiny bitty tips on them, even with diamond on them. Here's some right here that I bought for $1 off eBay. They have little footballs. These are diamond grit footballs on the end. Here's some little itty bitty tiny diamond tips on that if I want to etch glass or carve agate or whatever, and I'm doing itty bitty tiny. Like I said, if you look at my fingernail compared to those, to give you an idea, that has diamond grit in that little ball on the end. I can get all kinds of coarse, medium, fine, extra fine grits, all different sizes and shapes of them. This is $1 for this pack of 5. So it gives you a lot of options. But the neat thing that I want to show you is I can use them in this, and I don't have to do anything special. Let me focus back down here. So I take a little friction grip burr, okay, and that's where this comes in. I'll just get one out that I already have in here. I bought these off eBay. If you want the info, message, just leave me a comment. I'll get you the info where you can get these. So what this is it's a latchkey burr that's been drilled out to fit a friction grip burr. So I just take one of these friction grip burrs, slide it into there, okay, and then I actually have an 1/8 inch collet in this, so I can just put these 1/8 inch ones right in here, lock it, and use them. But what I do is I have a sleeve that goes from 1/8 inch down to 3/32 of an inch, and for those of you outside the United States, that's 3.175 millimeters down to 2.35 millimeters. Drop it in there, and then let me get the one that's already pushed in there. You have to push them kind of hard. Anyway, so then I can put this. This has a friction grip burr. Where's my focus? Friction grip burr in one of those latchkey sleeves. Those latchkey burrs will go right in that because they are 2.35 millimeters. The latchkey burrs are, which is what all these guys are. I've got lots and lots of variety of those from different auctions. But now I have the smallest burr you can possibly buy. One of these in a chuck that normally holds these. And I can, let's see, that one is a carbide tip, so I'll show you on wood. And we'll run that all the way to 50,000 RPM. Where am I at? I need to focus for you, sorry. Anyway, you know, you want to do really fine detail work, you get the point. So I love the fact that I can put any size burr in this handpiece in seconds. And I know it's a sleeve and a sleeve and a sleeve, but it works great. So normally it's just for these. I just put these in there. And I can use these, lock it, good to go. Or like I said, if I have the big 1/8 inch or the 3.175 millimeter, good to go. Or just throw a latch key in there, and they do make, whoops, that I need the sleeve. Where'd my sleeve go? Until you're ADD like me and you just toss things around. Oh, it's right in front of me. So I'll put a latch key in the sleeve and the handpiece, and then I've got whatever shape and size tip I need, you know. So I've covered that enough, I think. There are different options for putting these HP burrs in your rotary tool. Because like I said, the latch key are nice. Go ahead and buy a latch key if you want. You can put them right in your, let me just show you in this. Your normal Dremel tool will come with these little collets. Like I said, I wonder where I set my Dremel tool. It's probably in a drawer somewhere. But with your normal Dremel tool, you have these different collets, right? You got your, if this looks familiar to you, you can, well, that's pretty poor quality, but you can put latchkey burrs. You might have to feed them from the back side. I've had to do that with my Dremel and stuff. Yeah, that's a little tough on this one. But anyway, these are the size. Oh, that's my sleeve, that's why. Where'd my latchkey burr go? My burr. Where'd my burr go? Let me get one of these longer ones out of here, maybe. Like I said, this is going to be a long video. Open up. Oh my goodness, I didn't know it had a hinge. Brand new burr. Oh gosh, you know what? It's not worth fumbling all this. Ow, my rocks. Loud noises.
You're struggling.
Yeah, it's just stuff's everywhere, and I can't see my latchkey burr that I set down. I'm going to have to clean this all up later. Point is, here's a latchkey burr. They have this latch on the bottom of them that you can see, and they're for like dentists to use in their special the little angle ones that they reach in your mouth and drill your cavities with. Click, click, and it's in. Okay. These will fit right in your small collet on your Dremel, which is what these are. You know, they're the same diameter, believe it or not. So we've covered that enough. Friction grip, latch key, 2.35 millimeter for both of these two. This one's a lot skinnier, but you can use them. Here's the other option. I'm too ADD, like I said, but we'll get into that now. This I don't like as well. These are 2.35 millimeter shafts, you know, or 3/32 inch. That will fit a latchkey burr in the end of them. You slide them in, but you kind of have to make sure you get them tipped just perfect. You spin it a little bit against something and straighten it out, and they do work. They're just a little more frustrating because then you have to get pliers to pull it back out of there. I'm going to interrupt real quick because I was editing and I realized I said some things wrong. I kept saying latchkey instead of friction grip and all that. Okay, so these, the 2.35 millimeter or 3/32 of an inch, are called HP for handpiece. This is a friction grip, the little itty bitty guy. And I've got a sleeve on this. Man, this is going swell. This is a latch key. Okay, been through all that. But what I was saying is this HP shaft, in other words 2.35 millimeter shaft, has a hole in the end that you can put a friction grip in, not a latch key. You can't put a latch key in something the same diameter as itself. But I did also forget kind of to mention these, and I think I show them later in the video. These fit a friction grip burr. They're made specifically for it. They're a pin vise that holds a 1.6 millimeter friction grip FG burr, if you want to look those up. and make sure they look good quality, because there are cheap ones and they're not machined well, and when you go to spin them, this won't spin true, it'll wobble. These ones are nice. I just got them on eBay. The important thing to remember is pin vise, 1.6 millimeter pin vise, and that's what these are. And it might even say FG, you know, for friction grip. But they work great. Here's a little friction grip with a rubber tip on it for polishing metal. You know, here's one for diamond. They're quick and easy to switch. They're probably actually my favorite way to be able to put a friction grip in the handpiece, because they're so easy to switch it. Everything else is like a real tough to pull them out. You can see how tight that's in there. This one you have to like spin it against something to balance it so it spins true, but they do work good. They're just more of a pain. Here's one of these sleeves with a latchkey sleeve with a friction grip burr in it. They're in there tight too. You have to kind of get your little pliers, whatever, and pull them out. But these are my favorite to use. Like I said, they are actually machined well enough, they spin true. So let's show you here. See that? No wobble. And they're quick and easy to change the tip in. But they are very specifically made to put friction grip burrs in. I got a 3-pack of them, I believe, or maybe it was 4 on eBay. Okay, what I'm going to talk about now, I'll jump to my, let's say, carbide burrs, and even these diamond tip burrs. Okay, so just in general, it's going to sound like I'm anti-dremel. I'm not anti-dremel, but I used to buy dremel burrs back in the day when I was younger. That's all I had, and it's all I knew about. And I still have a lot of these dremel burrs that I bought when I was younger that I use all the time still, and they're good quality and they've lasted. I really honestly like them and I recommend them, but price-wise it's kind of hard, because I spent $14 for that, $14 for that, or $10 or whatever when they're on sale. I don't know. This is way back when. And nowadays I don't do that anymore, because you can just buy these kits, if you've seen them, with different tips and shapes and things. This whole kit was $10, and they're carbide, and they're not super premium, but they do work good. They get the job done just fine. I use them all the time. And here's a pack that was $10, and they're diamond, and they're not the highest quality diamond. I use them with water and they last a lot longer, and I will probably show that towards the end of this video if I remember how I do water. If not, just watch any of my videos of me cutting and carving on stone, like my wolf pendant that I made from 3 pebbles. You can watch that one. You'll see how I use water in a very efficient way without having to just have a trough of water you stick your rotary tool in. Like this, for example, I didn't actually use water on this. This is a rock I found that I was hoping was solid black inside. Cut it and it's not. It had other colors, but I had to just a scrap like this that I decided to make this out of, and that's a video that I'll have posted shortly after this video that you're seeing now. If you want to subscribe so you can see that when it comes out, I'm making a little sword out of rock and wood or whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling, but what I was going to say is I no longer buy stuff from the hardware store like Dremel brand. I order different companies' products now, like SS White, for example. Let's get into that. Here's a pack of 10. Okay, and these are HP, so they're the 2.35 millimeter or 3/32 of an inch shaft, and these ones are, where does it say on here? Oh, just HP2 SSY, I don't know, but anyway, these are a little tiny ball on the end, and here's one with a little bit bigger ball. Actually, it's not a ball, it's a little bit square tip on the end. 10 more. Here's the modern looking ones. These are older. I bought these in an auction. These are the new ones I bought. I paid around $10 for this. Okay, that's about $1 a piece, and they last. They're really good. They're carbide burrs. This is one of my favorite shapes of burr. It really, honestly, it's the, let's see, one of these guys. It's got a tip like this. And you can do a lot of cutting with these, carving, removing a lot of material fast, even though it looks so small. But they're, yeah. My point is, SS White, you can find these anywhere from $10 to $15 for a pack of 10 of them. So it's kind of hard to go to the hardware store and pay $10 or $15 for one burr. And you can see the variety I've got. I've got so many different, these are all different shapes and sizes. There's a lot of variety in there. Different types of blades on them. I even buy the HP ones that way now too. Here's some a little bit newer ones. These are dirty. I got them out of an auction. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to cover on that. And you guys understand what carbide burrs are for. They're for carving wood, metal, whatever, bone. They work really good for that. So I'm not going to cover too much about carbide burrs versus all that. I have a decent variety of carbide burrs here. These I got from a used from a dental lab, and I just use them when I need to do something I don't want to beat up my new burr with. I have a little pile of them. The guy was actually using these. They were just his old used burrs, and he threw them in his drawer. Every time he had a used burr and he got a new one, he'd throw the old one in a drawer and it just piled up. Anyway, he gave me the pile with the stuff I bought from him. And like, here's a pineapple. You get the idea. Bone and wood, these are really good for. I wouldn't recommend trying to cut rock too much with a carbide burr. I'd always recommend switching to diamond or some kind of stone. These I will cover briefly. Aluminum oxide. Actually, I'll cover them more in a minute. When I buy my burrs now, that's what I'll cover with that. I don't know if this is the right. Yeah. This box of 72, oh, this says 100. This was a box of 100. Sometimes they're just 72. I bought this for $15, okay, for the whole box of 100. 15 cents a piece. That's an aluminum oxide burr. And I use them for metal, rock. They kind of fill with softer metal, but harder metals works good for. But I use them on rock, and it's always my second stage. After I rough ground something, I go over it with aluminum oxide, and it removes most of the deep scratches. It actually puts a pretty good surface on it and gets it closer to being polished. So I love fine aluminum oxide points for that. That's why I bought this box of 100. But that was my point. This literally was $15. So just a heads up on where to buy burrs. I got this off eBay. Okay, you can choose your point, shape, type, whatever. These are the white 30 white. Anyway, you get the idea. Here is another version of an aluminum oxide point, but it's a wheel, and these are extremely high quality. They have the metal ferrule in the middle, or metal grommet, whatever you want to call it. This is a very good brand, Dedico Coolies. These are aluminum oxide. They also make silicon carbide, which is harder than aluminum oxide. And these are big wheels. Same thing, it's got the metal in the middle. Very good quality wheels. These will outshine anything else. They're very nice. This box was like $25 normally. I bought it in an auction, but even then, $25 for 50 of them, 50 cents a piece, whatever, that's still a great deal compared to buying them, the lesser quality ones from your hardware store. So I just want to cover that. And I'm not showing all of my burrs on here, trust me. It looks like a lot of burrs that I'll be going through today. I have even more. What I do want to get onto though and talk about is rubber wheels. Okay, I'm going to start, this is my tray that I use for my current burrs while I'm working on a project, and then once in a while I have to go through and start putting them away. Let me get a burr put back in this set aside. You don't want to actually bump the pedal and run that while it's unlocked. Okay, I'm going to start pulling rubber wheels out, and these are different types. Every one of them is different than the other one. Okay, these are all different types than each other. Just to show you the variety you can get in these, and this isn't even all of them. There's some that I've never even bought yet, that haven't had a need for yet. So we're getting down. This one's a very unique one. I'll talk about it in just a sec. Oops, there's another one. Another one. This one's for acrylics, which is plastics. It works good on wood. I've used it on metal too, but there's ones that are definitely better for metal. I think that's a pretty good variety of them. I'll talk about them here in a sec. I don't want you to think that you have to go buy expensive wheels either. But wheels, when it comes to all my projects, rubber wheels and rubber points, and these are rubber points, now the same thing as these wheels, are some of my most important types of burrs that I use. Like I said, they're wheels, but rubber wheels come in all different varieties and types, and hardnesses and thicknesses and widths. And for example, let's get this out here. I'm going to grab one. Okay. The majority of them are going to have silicon carbide grit in them. And silicon carbide is very hard. It's harder than aluminum oxide. It's more abrasive. But here's one. Let me focus back up here now that we're in this. You see this one is a softer wheel. It's flexible. It's also thin, so you can reach into places with it. You can see the silicon carbide shining in it. These ones in this drawer right here, this little drawer, with a few exceptions. I've thrown a couple randoms in there. But these ones here were a kit I got for $10, and it came with 40 wheels for $10. And you get one of each grit. You'll have to forgive me, I don't remember which one of these two goes in order, but it goes something like this, in order from coarse, regular, medium, and fine, or something like that. And that literally was $10 for 40 of these, and they'll last a long time. And these are hard, and I like hard wheels better than I do the soft in general for polishing rock and even using on wood. Like for example, well, that's not the right one. Oh, I don't even think I have it here. Shoot. I can't show you that project yet because it's not posted. I have pieces of this like hard mahogany wood that I've polished to almost a mirror shine, and I've done it completely with just rubber wheels and points. I like these points. They're just like sandpaper, but you know, rubber based. So if that gives you an idea. I'm going to talk about cheap ones that are good, like these. These are very cheap. Okay, you can get them even cheaper sometimes, on up to fairly expensive. These are at least $1 a piece. This is a Shofu Ultra Ceramiste Ultra 2, and here's my Ultra 1, just Ultra and Ultra 2. These are for polishing porcelain. That's what they intended these for, and they don't polish very fast compared to a diamond. But they do a very good job. They're very nice, very good quality. You're not going to run into inconsistencies with them. They come in these boxes. If you can find where to order them, just look them up. So, Ceramiste, right here. There's the Ultra and Ultra 2. Ceramiste, 12 wheels in each of these boxes. And you pay anywhere from $13 to $25 for a box of these, just depending on where you buy them. One of these wheels will last me a year or more, and that's using it quite a bit. They're just a very fine grit in there, and a very hard rubber. But it's kind of a really silicone-y rubber, and they just don't wear out that fast unless you're using them wrong. I mean, honestly, these will last me years unless I really beat them up. So there's a different side of rubber wheels too, and that's like these, super grainy from Shofu. That is what this guy is. Okay, it's a super greeny, and you notice how shiny that is? It's actually flexible even at that thick. It's a very soft rubber with really fine grit, and it's made for polishing metal, and it really doesn't work that well on rock. And it's because it's softer and just the way they have the grit in there, just the way they formulated it. You can use it on rock, you're just going to wear it out a lot faster and not get very far on your rock without wear, by the time you've worn it down. There's definitely a difference between these two on what they'll do. This one will put a mirror shine on metal. It really, like once you have it down to ready to polish, this will polish it better than anything else. I love super greenies. I don't know where my brownie is. I've got brownies, super greeny. Let me just show you here in this case. Here we go. So here is my shofu stuff too. They make these. These are awesome. If you're familiar with these, they're a super greeny too. They're called a brownie floppy disk or whatever. They stink when you use them, but they polish metal like nobody's business. Same with these are different grits of these. These are just for polishing metal in this bin here. Really good at it. Anyway, they're just specialty. I can actually put a mirror shine on copper with this in 2 seconds. Just like I said, I would show you my project that I'm working on, but it's top secret for the moment. Anyway, I use wheels and points more than anything for my finishing, sanding, even shaping. So back to what I was saying about how I buy them. Okay. Let me just start by doing this. Oh, I gotta put things away. Oops. I'll put them away in a bit. You'll see a lot of these get pulled out in my different videos probably. I have a lot. There's a whole bunch of variety of them. These are knife edge wheels. Okay. If you buy a box of 100 of them, I think I got this box for like $28, so they're 28 cents a piece. And you're not afraid to use them on a project because you burn it up and just grab another one. Whereas if I were to buy them at the hardware store and they came in the little bubble pack and you get 3 of them for $15 or 6 of them for 10 or whatever they, variety, they're still not going to be as good a quality as these, and they cost a lot more. So just get on good old trusty eBay, Amazon, wherever. You can order bigger amounts of burrs for a lot cheaper. These are higher quality. These are Dedico. They're very high quality. These ones, buying a box of these brand new can run you around $50 for 100 of them. That's still 50 cents a piece. So it saves you money in the long run. These are hard too, and they're very good quality. I don't know where my focus is. They didn't have the writing on this box, so I wrote it on there. There's 100 of these. Very, those flexible ones. These are the clasp polishers, and these are awesome. You take a mandrel like this that has the screw on the end. Might be too bright. Let me try that light again. Just take one of these, screw it into the hole till it's tight, and you take your block like this if you want, and you shape the end of it however you want it shaped, or you can just leave it like that. They'll sometimes have a little bit of wobble to them, so you kind of just buzz it against one of these abrasive stones, and it'll take the wobble out and shape it. You can see here's one that I just started to use. Different grits of them. They're really good to use, really nice. I just bought these from Keystone, which is another company that makes good wheels and burrs that you can buy. I don't know what else to really cover on rubber wheels, other than there's different qualities of them, and some companies make much better products than others, and that's all I'll say. I really like this brand. If you're you know, interested to know, that'd be one of my top recommendations. I mean, this box would last most people a lifetime, but it saves you a lot of money, and they're very, very good quality. But if you're not using rubber wheels and you're crafting when you're using your rotary tool, you are doing yourself a disservice. Get some rubber wheels, experiment with them, see what you like to do with them, learn how to use them. They're really good. Where'd they go? I had a bag of mandrels. Yeah. Oopsie daisy. When I find it in a minute, I'll show you. I buy mandrels from different places for like $4 for 10 of them, $3 or $4. And some places they're really good quality, other places not so good. So I just, when I find one that's really good quality, I'll hurry and order 2 or 3 more packs of 10 from them. I wonder what I did with those. Oh, they are in here. Okay, hold on. They're under these. So here's a mandrel. I'm sure all of you know this. It's basic stuff. You have your mandrel. Stop. You know, unscrew it like this. Keep your washer on there, because it'll help with it. Throw it on there, but you can see the size of the screw compared to the size of that hole. It ends up with some wobble. The higher quality ones like these that come out of here, where did I put that? The screw fits. You almost have to thread it through the hole. Okay, like that. That's a tight fit. There's no. Let me get over on camera. There's no wobble. Sorry, I'm just going to do this just a little bit so I can quit doing that. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it on there. Just a much better fit, and you don't have any wobble to your wheel when you're using it. It'll cut smoother. Cheap ones of these, cheap silicon carbide wheels, as you'll see if you watch that video of can I carve an agate with this, with that Walmart kit. Their silicon carbide wheels and bits in there weren't even usable. They were so soft, they weren't compressed together hard enough, whatever. The binder wasn't good enough, I don't know what it is. They just flew apart into sand without even removing any rock. These ones from this little $10 or $9.80 kit from Amazon outshined that Walmart kit by a mile. These will hold up way better, and these from Dedico will hold up way, 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 way better than even these will. Different ones. Oh, before I forget, because I'm ADD, some of you probably going, he never talked about that special one. These are interesting to me. I got these in an auction. They're burloo, and they midget size. Don't get mad at me for political correctness. That's what it says. Anyway, high luster polishers. These, I do believe, were used on people's teeth back in the day. They said mint smell. I mean, they have. If you ever have cleaned a toilet and you've had a ring around your toilet you can't get rid of from hard water deposit, you know, you get a pumice stone and you scrub it with a pumice stone because it won't scratch the porcelain, but it'll help remove the crusty hard water buildup. These have pumice in them as a grit instead of anything harder, so you can actually polish teeth with them without wearing the enamel away. Your enamel's really hard, and these, while they can remove your enamel slowly, won't. Like if you took a rubber wheel with silicon carbide grit in it like this and ran against your tooth, you're just going to grind your tooth away. These will not grind your tooth away very fast at all. They'll actually polish your tooth. Anytime you're polishing something, you're removing a little bit of it to make it shiny, if that makes sense. You're making it smoother. But so those, I found a use for them here or there when I was doing some wood carving. They polish wood really well. They sand it really well. Put a really nice finish on it. Oh, I'll cover this real quick too. eBay. Just look up Diamond Disc on eBay. A 30 pack of these diamond wheels. I got it for $19 for 30 of these. Okay, and I get different shapes, sizes of them when I need them, and I use them for cutting stone. They're just like a little diamond saw blade, you know, or diamond wheel. I use the side of it to sand and shape. Here's one I've been using right there. I use them all the time. and you know, under $1 a piece for them. I just throw them on one of those mandrels that I bought, like I said, and the mandrels alone were, I think I paid $3 for every 10. Here's a 20 pack, so $6, and they're good quality. So that's part of the stuff I wanted to cover. I'll go this whole process really fast again on something a little harder. Silicon carbide. Okay. Coarse diamond. Whoops. Anyway, you get the idea. Both of them grind. Aluminum oxide. I wish I hadn't broke my nice one. I don't want to set up another one just for time. Trying to cut this video down. Grab a random rubber wheel here. There's my sleeve. Okay. I'm actually going to show you these expensive ones. They're super nice to use. Let's grab the medium and the fine. Anyway, that shows better. You see the polish on that. Now granted, I didn't take the time to do it really smooth. You can kind of see some burr wavy lines in there. So you get the idea. You can polish rock super fast with all of these. Before I go farther into all that, I want to say a couple things. Turn this vacuum off. Take a drink. So, alright. Covered a lot so far. I haven't really talked about anything crazy specialty yet. But I did want people to know, because I thought it would benefit them, about the different types of wheels and burrs you can get from other companies besides just going to your basic store. Like these. These really are fantastic quality. And they're cheaper than what you can buy at Walmart. Oh, and here's a bit of advice. The exercise bands and stretchy things you get and stuff, whatever, if you can't find this rubber dam material, that's where this came from. Beachbody.com. Well, let me zoom back out. What am I doing here? Not even on camera for half of this, I'm sorry. Okay, beachbody.com, whatever. Anyway, you grab these rubber grippies, you grab your mandrel, get your screwdriver, and you can grip your mandrel and get this changed. But while I'm changing this, I'll talk about it. Silicon carbide grinding wheels and aluminum oxide grinding wheels do come in very, very, very different qualities. And granted, I just broke a really nice one, and that makes me very sad. But I like to keep chunks like this once in a while for running my other burrs against. My like rubber wheels, if I've got a slick surface on a rubber wheel like that, I don't know if you can see that, and it's not cutting as nice as it should, just run it against this for a second, you know, while it's spinning in the handpiece. Zzz, zzz, zzz. So those aren't bad. I don't keep a million of them around, but the better quality ones like that I might keep a chunk around just because it works good for it. Anyway, I've said it a million times. I guess I shouldn't keep saying it. These are just so much better price and better quality, and some of them I don't know where to order anymore. Like these, I love these guys. They're a silicon carbide wheel, so they're where'd the big feller go? Too much stuff around here. Yeah, I don't know where to put it. This guy, silicon carbide wheel, big grinding wheel. Okay, for grinding on metal. A lot of people use these just for metal, but they actually work on rock very well because they're very hard. Silicon carbide is way up on the Mohs scale. These are little ones, okay? And there's different companies that make them and stuff, but these are really good. Made with Dentsply, which is a, you know, supplying to dental labs. Fast cut too. Really like these. Wish I could get more. This is all I've got. Anyway, I just hunt around and try to find what I can when I can. If I find a good deal on them, I buy them because I use a lot of them. And I usually don't break them. That's really, I'm just kind of fumbling all this mess, trying to keep up with everything right now. But you get the idea. They're a lot better quality. I'm going to talk about some specialty burrs now. Another specialty burr I want to talk about too is in the line of friction grip burrs. You can get some of the nicest quality. There is not a nicer quality point than you'll find right there. That's an aluminum oxide point, and the aluminum oxide is so fine it looks like pure hard white stone. It doesn't look like grit that's been compressed together. And they are my favorite burr for when I'm doing rock carvings and need to polish down into little fine details and stuff. I can actually sand really fine, almost put a polish with these. And they're a couple dollars a piece usually. But they're these little itty bitty friction grip burrs. And I've got some, this has diamond grit in it. It's rubber. This is rubber for polishing metal. It's like a super greeny, but it's on a friction grip. I love the fact that I can get these burrs with these little tiny itty bitty polishers on the end, and I can still use them in this handpiece and do anything I need to do. It just gives me a lot of freedom. Here's an example. Here's friction grip burrs in these pin vices, and they work perfect. Really nice. Really nice to use. Now I'll mention this one in this video. I only had 2 of these. I got them in an auction. This is a rubber wheel, but it's not rubber. It's actually made out of a foam. And it's coming apart. You can see it splitting there. But it's a really lightweight foam with silicon carbide grit in it. And I don't know what they're called, and I don't know where to get them, but I would kill to get more of these. When I'm doing metal work, they are the nicest polisher I've ever used. They are super soft and flappy. Work really good. If any of you know what those are, because like these, or whoops, that's not the box. Where are we at here? These interproximal wheels, these are silicon rubber. They're close, but they're not the same. They're a different material. Okay. These are rubber. This is a foam. If anybody knows where to get these foam ones, please let me know. One of my favorite specialty burrs I'll talk about now is over here. So I got 2 of them mounted. I got 2 different grits. And let me grab the box they come in so you can see what they look like. So let's focus on here. When you order these, they come like this. You get 8 of them or so, and a mandrel to put them on. Now, I like a mandrel with a washer on it, but I don't have one. But I did find these mandrels made by Comet that I got in a kit. They have a bigger head on them, and they'll hold this a little more sturdy out there. Now these, let's get zoomed zoomed in a little closer here. I think I'm catching the plague too. I only have 2 out of the 3 grits, or might even be 4. They have little metal pads on them, and each metal pad has diamond grit pressed into it. On this side, it's just fiber reinforced paper, basically. It's a plasticky fiber reinforced, so they're super tough. They won't come apart. You see how flexible? It's like a sandpaper disc, but with diamond sandpaper on it. And this one's fairly coarse, and these ones are fairly fine, the green. And I use those to shape and polish rock, and I love them. And you put them like this. You don't put the diamond grit up. I put it with it down, and then as I'm using it, I just use that edge, and it'll, you know, I'll just show you. It's easier just to show you. Let me do another demonstration real quick. I'll need to turn on the vacuum again. And eye protection. Let me get my drumstick. Okay. Go back to this Jasper. Alright, where are we focused at? So I just use the edge. So I don't know if you can see that now, but I've sanded that edge smooth. There you go in the light. And I can contour and shape and round. What do I have that's got an edge on it? Get a soft up slab. Okay. I don't know if you can see this 90-degree edge there. You can tell on there, but might have smoothed that out too while we're at it. I'll show you the difference. Really get aggressive with it. Now, I don't know if this is going to show real well in here. Hopefully it will. I'll zoom in on it. So I've rounded that edge. Probably should polish it to show you, but just grab a random wheel. Anyway, there. Smoothed it a little so you can see. Rounded that edge right into the 90 down below. All I have to do is hit it with the rubber wheel, and it's almost completely polished already. Yeah. But you know, when I'm carving little figurines out of rock and stuff like that, or contouring or shaping a stone for a ring, like for example, where did I put it? Here's a little stone that I polished up the other day on video, and I can't find the footage. You know, I polished this with burrs, but I contoured it and shaped it with this, where to set it, with this guy. Okay, with those diamond pads on this one. You can see all I've used is about that far in on the edge right there. And all this is still new, haven't used it. And it'll just slowly wear down. I gotta get it focused. It'll slowly wear back, and all I'm using is the edge. I can do a lot of work with it. Like I said, I contoured this guy with it, did a lot of the rounding and shaping. Really like those. They're definitely a specialty burr, and they are not that cheap. Should have bought some the other day when I saw them on sale, because they're now, I've seen them up to like $70 for a pack of 8 like this. Okay, and now per disc that cuts it down to, you know, so many dollars per disc, like $10 a disc. But I used to get these, I think I wrote the price on it, $37.50 for 8 of them in a mandrel. And I haven't found it for that price. Well, the other day I saw them down around $40 again or something on sale somewhere. But that's one. Mizzy Flexus. These were there's the number, part number, if you want to look them up for the yellows. And I recommend the yellows above the others. Coarse are fine and stuff, but I do a lot of my, man, what is with my focus today? I do a lot of my coarse grinding with other things. I really like the yellows for all around use. Yeah, now let's cover a few of these others. But these are one of my ultimate favorite burrs. These Mizzy Flexus discs. Okay. Some of my rubber wheels are more specialty than others too, and I could go on for hours about that, so I won't. Diamond discs. These I wish I could find more of. I got these from an old dentist. I have others in another container. These are just the 2 I have out and I'm using because they're different grits. I don't know if you can tell, but the bristles are different thicknesses on this one than they are on this one. These are thicker. But these have different grit of polishing in them, and I'm pretty sure it's diamond because it polishes rock pretty well. Let's use this coarse one. So here's just a saw cut, unpolished slab. Look at that spot, already polished. Those are impressive, and I don't know where they come from. If any of you know where to get those, let me know. And I was supposed to have some other burrs, but they're at the post office that I was going to show you, but they're the little rubber polishers that look like little spirals coming out. You know, they're made out of rubber, kind of like this. I don't have any here because I just, back in the day when I'd use them, they come apart too quick. But what I have in the mail are some that are diamond grit that I was going to try out. But yeah, you can see how quick that puts a polish on that surface. Now, the only problem I have with these is if your material isn't super uniform, like if I'm working on nephrite jade and I spin this on it, it'll polish the softer spots out quicker than the harder spots of the rock if the rock is a little inconsistent, and I'll get a dimply surface. So in that case I want to go to a hard wheel as a flat surface so I can maintain that flat surface as I polish it instead of these bristles spinning out the softer stuff. But these are awesome. If you know where to get them, please let me know. Here's the most dangerous burr I own. I won't even let my kid use this. I told him just stay away from it. I don't like using it. It's literally just a saw blade, and it does cut wood.
I don't want to use it.
If you slip with that, you're getting stitches. That's all I'm saying. You know, if you slip with one of these, it just burns. It just like it'll sand your skin and it hurts, but you probably won't even bleed. These just burn. You get a blister from them. It's just like running rubber against your skin. You know, and some of my burrs, I'm healing now, but you can see a spot there where I put a burr into my finger the other day. It's not a big deal. It was just a little hole. This guy, whew, I've had it since I was probably 14, 15 years old, and I think I've used it twice. You know, it's a... I like it, but I don't. Notice my hands back here. I'm not up here tight working detail, which you can do, but anyway, you get the idea. We'll put him back. Bristle brushes. Let me talk about them. Where did I even put it? Shoot, it was right here off to the side. Did I knock it on the ground? Uh-oh. Maybe I won't talk about them. Let me get these out, though. These are called Robinson bristle brushes. Okay, where's my focus? Yeah, right there. Robinson bristle brushes, and they're made out of, I believe, cow hair. I don't think it's horse. I think it's cow hair. Get some. They're like $1 a piece, but they're just the better quality by far for polishing things. When I glue things up, like if I glue a stone into wood, let's say, and I get a little bit of epoxy on the stone, I don't try to sit and wipe it off and get smeared everywhere. I'll let it set up and harden overnight, and then I just run one of these on it the next day, and it'll just eat that. Oh, here it is. It'll eat the epoxy away and leave the stone the way it is. But what I use this with is I don't know where I put it. It's usually up here in front of me, but I have diamond paste, like 100,000 grit diamond paste. I should have, right here is a little bit of it in this container. So it's diamond paste just in a wax base or something, and you just run your bristle brush in it, and then always go more than one direction when you polish. I should have my vacuum on, I know, but I'm just wanted to get done because this video is already almost an hour and a half. Anyway, where's a paper towel? Oh, they're on my ceiling. I have a paper towel holder on my ceiling for convenience. It makes me stand up once in a while. Okay, where's... that looks duller. I need to wash it off. But anyway, that... Oh, I've got wax on this one, that's why. Not real happy with this diamond paste. I've had some trouble with it before, so I won't actually recommend it, because that's not even polishing. Anyway, I've had spots of it where the grit's too big and it makes it dull again, and then other spots where it'll polish. So I would recommend buying a better quality diamond paste. I paid like $8 for that tube of it, and it's been inconsistent. It's got problems. But anyway, these bristle brushes are great for running polish. If someone wants to explain to me, oh my gosh, that doesn't even, it doesn't even fit. That's how cheap these stupid kits from Hyper Tough are. There's no way that's the bigger diameter, is it? Oh, maybe it is. It doesn't look like 1/8 inch. Oh, okay, never mind. Let's pretend I didn't say that. These plastic bristle brushes, I don't know the use for them other than getting some sawdust out of a crack once in a while. But if you've ever used them, you know what happens to them. You go to use them and they melt together and they're useless. And I know, yeah, oh, don't spin them so fast. So just always spin them slow. But then they're not doing anything. They don't really polish that well. And they really honestly just hurt like this. It's already clumping together. I don't know if you can see that. They're already starting to melt, and I'm not even running it fast. That's 3,000 RPMs. Okay, if you run it a little quicker for a second, they just come apart and melt. I don't like them. I don't use them for anything. I just throw them in the trash. I just had that one because it came in that Walmart kit. Robinson bristle brushes are worth the money. These are called cashmere fluffs, and they're very good for polishing. They're about $1 a piece or more when you can get them. I really like them. This cloth sewn together, you can actually spin grooves into wood with them if you're not being careful enough. And that one has something hard in the middle. I think that's got sandpaper or leather in the middle. Delta Hybrid. Anyway, I've never even used that one. I just got it in a collection. Felt wheels, you can buy these. $15 for 100 of them or less. Sometimes like $10 or $12 for 100 of them. On Amazon even. Amazon, eBay are great places to get these. Don't buy the little pack of them from Dremel for way too much money. I don't have anything against Dremel. This is one of my favorite things from Dremel. I will praise them till the day I die. Let me get some that aren't worn down. Easy Lock right here. Okay, let me get my focus back down here. These Easy Lock from Dremel. They have this Easy Lock system where you pop it up and turn it, and you can put a new one on. Whatever, you get the idea. I'm fumbling it. Anyway, you do that and you turn it. It comes off. Pull it down. Pop a new one on. Turn it. Locks in place. These fiber reinforced discs for working metal can't be beat. We even watched a video where a jackass of a veterinarian was grinding on a turtle to cut a turtle open, was using these, leaving debris all over in the turtle and everything. But in case you need to, you can cut turtle shell with them apparently, but don't do it. Anyway, these are awesome. I will never stop using these. Anytime I see them on sale, I buy them. I just have piles of them. Piles and piles and piles. Like I said, I bought old auctions, from people, different things, just to get certain burrs that were in them, and then I have a whole bunch of other burrs that are just kind of nonsense, like in this pile here. I've got old rusty worn out ones, but I don't get rid of them because they all fit in that one little spot. I can just keep piling them up. And when I have a rock or something I need to bust some crud out of the middle of it, and I don't want to use a brand new nice burr, I'll grab an old rusty monster out of this pile and just grind the crap out of something and throw the burr away when it's ruined. These are ideal for that. These are old, just silicon carbide. You can buy them, like I said, 72 of them for $15 quite often, or 10 of them for $5 or whatever. Just whatever size package you want to get. And I grind some nasty stuff with them. They're my grunt workers. And then this pile right here is all aluminum oxide. Here's some from Fordham that are blue stone. They work all right. I won't buy those again though, because I can just get these white. Just this white aluminum oxide. Get you a pile of those. You can use them for a lot of stuff. They'll clean up a lot of things, a lot of rock and stuff. It'll clean up the rough scratches for you on most anything. The pink is a little more coarse usually, and the white is fine in general. Blue stones are usually specialty, and like I said, I have these blue ones here that I got from Keystone, I believe, and they cut copper without filling. They won't fill up with copper when I grind copper with them. So if I need to just grind a nasty spot on copper and smooth it down, I grab one of these. And this one I've used on copper a bunch. You can see it's worn down from when they were new. Let me grab a new one and show you the difference. So here's a new one. Okay, it's got a sharp edge on it. This one's just rounded off. I actually ground a lot of copper with that guy. So I like those. There are high-end burrs in everything. Here's a Comet that I got in the kits I got from the dental student that quit dental school. These are Comet brand burrs, and let me pull one of these out and show you if I can do this without having a landslide. I'll get back to some of these in a sec, and we'll pretty much be done with what I'm showing today. These guys, where'd I set that pack? They're just HP, so they'll just fit your standard Dremel tool or whatever else. They're the 3/32 or 2.35 millimeter shank. Let me get a white background here and show you just how fine these are. Let's see if we can focus up here. So I don't know if you can see in the shadow, but from about right there forward is another color of metal. That from right there on up is tungsten carbide. And the Germans have managed to cut the tiniest ball on the end of this. It's literally about the thickness of my fingernail. Okay, just this little itty bitty. I'm trying to get it right in focus for you. They cut beautifully. They last a long time. I've cut porcelain with these. When I used to work at a dental lab and we'd have a little positive bubble down inside an all porcelain crown, we would actually grind them out with these because they're tungsten carbide tipped. I bought some years ago at full price. I still was only paying about $1 a burr for them, but like I said, I got lucky and bought some stuff from some dental students that dropped out of dental school, and I got a lot of different ones here from them, and they're just higher end, very well made, Comet brand burrs. If you can get them, go ahead. They're great quality burrs. Yeah, Comet is clearly they definitely don't produce anything that isn't perfect. I'll just say that. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else to cover. When you're shaping your wheels, like I said, using your rubber wheels, you can get the surface will get too slick. This one doesn't have it, but sometimes you get a surface spun on them, they're not cutting well, or they're just really dirty and you don't want to run that metal dust on your new project, or you want to taper them to a wedge shape or a taper up to a point. You can use those stones that I was showing you a second ago, like this, or they make this. I got one in one of those kits. These are not cheap, but it's covered in really rough diamond. You can actually see the yellow diamond in it. It's made from yellow diamond. But you can spin your wheel on this. There's even a round trough or a V trough if you want to spin your round ones to a point, you know, or even spin this to a point. Whatever you want to do. It's just got the option to be able to shape your wheels on it. These are really nice to have if you can get one. Not cheap though. I got this for free. I got lucky. It came in one of those kits I bought from someone. But yeah, diamond burrs. Let me talk about diamond burrs real quick. There are different qualities, and that is what is most important. Buying a better quality means it'll cut nicer and last longer. These are made by Brasseler, so they are extremely well made. These are a ball burr, but these, if I use them with water, I can use and use and use and reuse, and they'll hold on to their diamond really well. These little cheap kits that I was talking about earlier, where you get the $10 for that whole kit. Even with water, they won't last anywhere near as long as these better quality ones from Brasseler or Comet. You get what you pay for, but use water with them. But the other thing is, if you don't know the difference between sintered diamond and coated diamond, these are electroplated diamond. So they electroplate metal onto it with diamond grit pressed into it. If you get a sintered diamond, it literally is a... Sorry, buddy. You dying? It's a lower temp metal that can be melted and have diamond mixed into it, or it's a metal powder, and then they, you know, mix it with diamond grit, and then they bake it till it melts together and it binds together with diamond all throughout it. So a sintered bit like this, I can grind and grind and grind, and as it grinds all the way down that whole thing until it's that small, we'll have diamond throughout all that metal. Whereas one that isn't sintered, it's just electroplated with diamond on it. The diamonds are only on the surface, stuck in a thin layer of metal that's electroplated onto it. If that helps clear that up for anybody. Here's one that has a sintered edge. So you can see the edge is metal with diamond sintered into it. So as long as that edge is on there, it'll have diamond in it. It'll spin all the way down to where there's no more edge, no more diamond. If it was just coated, as soon as the surface of that edge was worn off, there's no more diamond. Like, where did I put them? I had those. These are not sintered. These are just electroplated with diamond pressed into them, you know. But they're a lot cheaper. Sintered are going to cost you at least $10 a burr generally, whereas electroplated you can get 10 burrs for $10 or whatever. But So they're all different qualities and types of burrs, but I really wanted to show people that you can, in your Dremel tool, use all of these burrs. Especially wanted people to know about, like I said, these specialty little diamond burrs that you can order, all sorts of little tiny tips and ends, and carbide burrs, that same thing, little itty bitty tips and ends on them for doing little fine detail work. And just get a sleeve and a sleeve, and you can put them in anything. It works really well. And the sleeves I got on eBay. You just need to know your conversion numbers, and so here you go. If you want to go from the friction grip, which are those little itty bitty tiny ones, the skinniest ones, 1.6 millimeter. So you need a converter, a sleeve that goes from 1.6 to 2.35 millimeter, or from friction grip FG to HP. Generally, whoops, I'm not focused. Generally, they won't call them 3/32 or 1/8 because that's just American garbage. So, you know, we're not on the metric system. If you want to go with your bigger sleeve to go from your skinnier burrs to your, where's my your fat burrs for your Dremel, you want something that goes from 3.175 down to 2.35 or vice versa on your things. In fact, I have one here that I just bought. They're about $10 to $15. I think I paid $9 for this one actually, and it's just one of these sleeves that so that you can put your 2.35 millimeter or 3/32 ones in your 3.175 millimeter or 1/8 inch collet. So I hope that helps. Here's your info. So remember, oh, and there is one above this 1/8 inch. There's one, or I mean not above, sorry. There's one that is just 3.00 millimeter. And they generally will work with your Dremel tool collets and stuff. But if you have a handpiece like this, you need to make sure that you have a 3.175 millimeter for everything you use in it if you're using the bigger size. HP stands for handpiece. Right there. That's a handpiece. Friction grip, let me just grab that and show you, and I'll be done with this video, are those little itty bitty burrs. And I didn't write the other one, latch key. You can remember latch key are this size, okay? They're just little short ones that the dentists use in their latch key hand pieces. But they have a 2.35 millimeter shank, so they'll work with your skinnier collet. But let me show you what these friction grip burrs are used in. I don't have mine set up yet because I don't have a compressor down here because I don't want to run a loud compressor in my basement. I don't know if that's going to be able to reach. I have it set in the corner over here. Okay, come on, let go. I have one nail sticking out of my bench to put some peg stuff on, and it's right in the way. Okay, I think we can do this. I go over here, under here. Too many wires plugged into cameras. Okay, I'm going to adjust my camera and show this guy. This is one I got from a dental lab that closed down. Air Force. I'm not going to mess with it. Friction grip burr in it right now. That's a little itty bitty friction grip burr. And this is the regulator. Okay, you see the regulator in there. And you can adjust with the knob up to how many bars of pressure you want. And you don't want to run over 4 generally, I think. I gotta look all this up again. I haven't used this for years. But this will run these burrs at 300,000 RPM. Actually, I think this one might be like 200 and something thousand RPM. It depends on which handpiece you get. There's some Japanese ones that I know go around 400,000. I just don't remember all the specs on all of them. But this will run, like this guy runs an amazing speed, and you do not want to run anything with a big wheel on it like this any faster than what the wheel recommends. When you buy your burrs and wheels, they will say the recommended speeds, and they'll say the highest recommended speed. Do not exceed that, and it's because of gravity. Okay, the momentum that this thing will have spinning around really fast, this heavy wheel, if it gets a wobble to it, just the gravity force on it is increased so much by those RPMs that it'll bend this shaft over and break your thumbs off. Basically, it'll literally gets a wobble and boom, and or the wheels could even fly apart because they're not made to spin that fast. I've literally seen one bend over and hit a guy's thumb because he accidentally on his pedal too hard. But like these skinnier ones, this handpiece will go to 50,000 RPM. Okay, and it cuts extraordinarily smooth and efficient at that RPM. Okay, I can bury that burr. You see that? I can write my name. I can literally hold it like a pen and write with it. You know, and that's 50,000 RPM. So this one goes hundreds of thousands of RPMs, which does two things. It cuts buttery smooth. Like these guys that are carving antler and stuff, they use these. You can just hold it like a pencil if you want, and it just cuts with almost no resistance. And that's why dentists use them too. But this isn't the type of dentist will use in your mouth. They have a fancier angled one and all that, contra angle, whatever. If you run this burr against a piece of metal at 200,000 RPMs, you'll end up with molten metal on you. It'll just, the friction alone, you gotta not just until it gets hot and burns up. I've seen people burn up carbon burrs, or tungsten burrs, in 2 seconds with this. In fact, this one has burn marks on it. So you have to just, know what you're doing with these and use them careful. If you're using them on glass or metal, keep it moving. They cut bone like it's not even there. They cut wood like it's not even there. But this is what those friction grip burrs are for, is this friction grip handpiece. And I don't even remember how to take this burr out of it. It's as stupid as that sounds. I'm pretty sure you loosen it and just pull it out. But I will look it up again because it's been a long time since I've used this. I know some of you just literally pop them back in, just shove them against something. But anyway, hope that was not too much of a ramble, because I did ramble a lot, but I covered a lot. I'm probably going to turn this off and find other burrs I wish I'd talked about. There's all kinds of burrs out there that are for things that you just probably will never use. I have a burr covered in ruby over here that I got in a auction. So it literally has ruby stuck in it. Those are red. Let me focus up close. Red ruby in it. And they use those for grinding on dentures and things. They say it cuts nice and cuts cool. It just cuts a little different than silicon carbide or diamond. I'd have to look up again to see why they use them. This is just a really old one from an old dentist. But anyway, I don't know if I'll ever even use it. There's obviously these that most people know about. Tungsten carbide spikes all over them. They come in all different shapes. There's different companies that make them. They're great for carving wood if you're removing wood fast. Even antler. These work good on antler. This guy was one of my favorites when I was carving wood all the time. Same thing. It's just a metal disc with tungsten carbide shrapnel all over it. Those are worth having. Really good to use. Then there's obviously like wire brushes and things I didn't cover, which I don't really need to. Everybody kind of understands that stuff. But I hope I taught you some things. Like I said, if any of you know where to get these guys, they're amazing. I would love to get more of them. And that foam wheel I was talking about earlier, I would love info on that. If you could let me know in the comments. If there's any burrs that you'd like me to explain better or talk about, I would love to. Most of what I showed you today can be used on rock. Some of them cut slower than others. Here's specialty stones for shaping your burrs against that you can get in little kits. Anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of looking through. I don't think I missed anything, but yeah, these, just remember, in general you get what you pay for, but my main thing I wanted to show today was that you do not have to pay high prices for all your burrs. There are, if you can save a little longer and buy a box of 100, it will save you so much money in the long run, and it honestly changes how you do your work. when you know you've got 100 of them sitting there, you're not afraid to really just use a burr and get the job done and get it done better than trying to baby your burrs because you don't want to have to go buy more. It really changes how fast you work, and honestly sometimes the quality of your work gets better because you're just more free and willing to do it. I didn't cover these. These are Ceramaster by Shofu. Let me focus again. I'm sorry, I'm on manual focus because the autofocus goes crazy. These three are Ceramaster. These three are Ceramiste. I just threw them in this box. Ceramaster have diamond grit. Okay, so those are 3 diamond wheels. They're not cheap. I don't remember the cost of them normally. I bought this used. It was in an auction from somebody. I bought several auctions that came with a lot of burrs. I'll probably post that video, I don't know. I did record me going through them. But these have silicon carbide grit. These are diamond. Anyway, Shofu is a very good company to buy products from. They do very well. Good quality. And yeah. Probably going to leave it at that. I think I've covered enough. I was going to do a demonstration on a lot of the different ones, but you probably used a lot of them yourself. A lot of people have, or you can see videos of me using them on some of my projects and stuff. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment asking me about them, and I'll let you know anything I know. Sandpaper discs, I didn't cover. Grinding wheels, I didn't cover. Or not grinding wheels, like the metal cutting discs. Guess I should at least show them and mention them. I do like the sandpaper discs, but I use them the same way that I showed you with the diamond grit one. I put the sandpaper down, facing down in my burrs when I use them like this. Here's some really old sandpaper. So here's the grit, it's down, and then I just sit there and use it like this. Use that edge and work that edge on things. You can really do it smooth. It doesn't take very much to learn how to do it smooth. But then it just slowly wears the edge away. It wears it back, and you don't end up just... Because I hate it when you like use that whole surface. Some people put it so the grit's up and just... And after not very long, you buzzed off all your sand, and you have to change it, and you're just always changing these. You get a lot more done quicker if you just use that edge. So just put that sandpaper down and use that edge like that, and you won't regret it once you learn how to do that. But it comes in all different sizes and grits and types, you know, and you know that, and you can buy it fairly cheap. And then there's all these. These are the compressed silicon carbide and carborundum. That's carborundum, I believe. They come in different sizes and shapes and thicknesses. I've even got one of these. These are awesome. This is just grit. It's not a rubber wheel. This is actual just, I don't know what kind of grit. Silicon carbide probably, and a hard wheel. Another big hard wheel. Different sizes of these grinding wheels. And then there are of course these silicon carbide ones that I already showed you. These are some beat up ones I got in an auction. These aluminum oxide like this do pretty good. They're cheap, but they do pretty good. I don't like the carborundum. There's some that are built a lot like this, made out of carborundum, and they won't grind anything without just flying apart. They're just about useless. But I think everybody pretty well knows about these. You can buy like 50 in a little container for $5, and then if you slightly breathe crooked while you're using them, they blow apart. But they're good for cutting metal. I use them all the time. I just have to be very careful using them like everyone else does. And I have a lot of them, if you can tell, and I've got more in other places. Rubber wheels that I talked about quite a bit come in so many different sizes and shapes and grits, especially when you get into the jewelry world. Look at these. That is huge. Okay, clear down to those little midgets that I showed you. And then granted, that was a 1960s box of those, probably. That's why they call them that. But that's a new wheel. There's a new wheel. You can see the difference. All different types and sizes. Knife edge are some of my favorite, because you have that knife edge for when you need it, but then when they wear down, they're like a normal wheel. And so you get a lot of versatility out of them. These are the ones I love and hate. They're soft rubber, full of coarse grit, and they work really well for sanding things like antler and copper and wood, but they just blow grit all over you and make a huge mess, and they go away kind of quick. You can buy them fairly cheap, but it's like I said, love, hate. Oh, here's my other diamond bristle brushes that polish. I would love to get more of those. They have a point on the end of them. I don't know where they come from. I don't even know if they're diamond, but they polish so fast I would assume they are. Yep, and then sanding drums. Those are pretty simple to understand. They're just a pain to get on and off the drum when you do it. I don't really like these. I've tried to like them. I really don't. But, you know, yeah. Thanks for watching all this rambling. I hope you learned something. And yeah, I probably won't do too many more things like this about burrs. I'm just going to move on to projects now. Have a good day.